Alright guys, your buddy kintips here. Today we are gonna do a movie review of Morbius. So I recently just watched Morbius. It actually wasn't as bad as the critics say, okay? So I do have to say it had really pretty good special effects, surprisingly. So the thing I didn't like about it was, there's a couple of things. First thing is, the plot is very convenient. I will tell you this. The plot is so convenient for things to show up out of nowhere. I'll just say that. Okay, that was the biggest drawback. But it wasn't as bad as many places thought it was. Like So first of all, this review will contain spoilers. You have to excuse me. I'm playing a game while I'm doing this. But anyways, so yeah, it's not as bad as that some places make it out to be. But yes, the special effects are pretty good. But there are some fighting sequences you don't know what's going on. It really is because everything's a blur because they're moving so fast. So they want to do the sense of speed. So that's the only one of the drawbacks that I found with it. Other than that, it's pretty good movie, surprisingly. Okay, so anyways, let me get to the plot. So the plot is quite simple. Okay, so the plot is quite simple. It's so basically this guy has a rare blood disorder, okay? And he's friends with this other kid. They both have rare blood disorders, and then they get picked on through bullies and stuff like that. And basically, one of the guy, Morbius, knowing his name, is actually a very good like scientist. He becomes a doctor, and he's a very good at machines and a whole bunch of stuff. So he invents synthetic human blood, and because he invents synthetic human blood, re- he becomes really good at doing that, and he spices DNA from a vampire so he can fix his rare genetic disorder, and of course something goes wrong. He becomes a vampire, pretty much. Okay. So he becomes a vampire. So yeah, he becomes a vampire, and because he becomes a vampire, he needs to have blood, and he doesn't want to drink other people's blood. So, and the cops are already on him for that, and because the cops are on him, they don't know. They just all they know is he basically he's hiding something because he used to run. He walks around in crutches, and now he doesn't walk around in crutches. And then basically one of the cops finds out, and then he jumps 25 stories like all the way up, and then the cop finds him on the roof. You don't know how he got there, but he got there, and then he's about to jump off, but then the cop tells him, "Don't jump, we got you," or something like that. And then he doesn't jump. So I'm like, wait a minute. So if he can jump that high, he could really speed past bullets. And it actually showed a scene before that. He dodged bullets just like a blink of an eye. Okay, so I don't know why he actually let them take him, like the cops take him in. That made no sense. Okay, but anyways, the cops take him in, and then his friend Milo gets his hands on one of the serums and becomes a vampire himself. But he's actually a bad guy. Like he actually wants to drink people's blood and he wants to kill them. So yeah, so as he's enjoying his life of being a bad person. So, but anyways, that's part of that, and he now his basically Morbius's friend is this girl, and she's like his love interest in this movie. And what happened is eventually they just Miles and Morbius fight, and then she gets injured in the process, and but she's not dead. She's because at the end of of the movie there, he becomes she gets hit, she gets like to become a vampire. It doesn't explain anything, because if you think about it, you don't know how she becomes a vampire. Is it because she had a bite of Morbius's blood, or because Morbius sucked her blood? But it doesn't make sense because Morbius should have because what's his name? Um, what's that guy's name? Miles should have been causing a lot of vampires because he's been drinking other people's blood. So that didn't quite make sense. Um, so yeah, so that didn't quite make sense. And then basically from there, yeah. So from there, he basically got yeah, so they're fighting. You don't see anything. It's a whole bunch of blur. Like Morbius just shows up out of nowhere. Like in some of the movies where he's meeting the girl on the bus, he doesn't even know how she got on the bus. Um, yeah, it just a lot of it doesn't really make sense. But yeah, it's a really interesting movie. And then the Vulture shows up because Spider-Man, and you wonder if Andrew Garfield is going to reprise his role as Spider-Man because he's from Adrian. So Adrian Toomes comes up, Michael Keaton's character the Amazing Spider-Man shows up in this movie, and you're like, whoa, wait a minute. So that's the best part. The best part is that there's a chance that Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man might show up. So, like I said, this movie wasn't horrible. It was bad, but it wasn't like as bad as if you just really have to shut off your brain when you watch this. Um, and it's not as bad as it sounds. Like some of the special effects are really good. Yes, there's not a lot of blood or anything, but the special effects were actually decent. Like the way they make the vampires look on it is actually pretty decent, I thought. Um, yeah, so I didn't mind it. The movie wasn't bad. It was okay. It was below average, but it wasn't horrible. I've seen some bad movies, and this one wasn't that bad. So yeah, definitely check it out, guys. It's is it worth a watch? I would say for the little tidbits of information about Spider-Man and stuff, and the action scenes weren't too bad. It isn't it wasn't horrible. There was this one scene in the beginning of the movie where Morbius was trying to fix this kid. You don't hear anything about the kid anymore. So it's like these weird plot points, plot holes, and stuff like that that just never gets fixed. So, and you wonder like how does Morbius know to go there to meet her on the bus? You don't like none of this makes sense. And you know, it's just it's just interesting. And he has some cool powers. He gets echolocation and stuff like that. He uses bats as and they for some odd reason the bats listen to him. So I don't know how that works. That never happened. I don't think that happened in the comic book. All I remember in the comic book was Blade is after him and stuff like that. But other than that, it's generally pretty. It's an okay movie. It's an okay. You just really just make sure like the special effects were pretty cool. I thought, but um, yeah, definitely. I think it's worth a view. It's not. It's definitely not one that you want to like. It is. By the way, it's almost like 2 hours though. So it definitely is worth a view though. Especially with come a couple of crappy movies that are out. It's definitely worth a view to watch. All right, guys.